Someone asked me yesterday, so why would you want to go to a sex club? My answer is why wouldn't you? Let's talk about that. Hello. Oh, that was weird. Hi. Hello and welcome to the Tequila Hour. My name is Amanda. It is 1:52 p.m. here on a kind of cloudy day here in Australia, New South Wales, in the secret location. If you know, you know. It is the 28th of June. What the? Where'd the time go, bitch? Where's the time? Anyway, you know what? There's a lot of things I want to talk about. I mean, we will do some admin in a second. But yeah, I've missed a week. I did record a podcast. Actually, let's just do that as part. What am I doing? Let's do this as part of admin, shall we? Let's talk about it. Did you hear that? In the background, hi, for those who are playing along, this is Amanda. Well, I am. This is Amanda. I am Amanda. This is the Tequila Hour. And, yeah, I just cracked open a drink today. No, I'm not drinking tequila. Where did that smash pad go? That's really good. I am drinking a premix, which is 4 Pillars Gin Smash, yuzu, pineapple and lime flavoured. I know, just joking. Let's go have a sip. Give me a sec. ASMR, that shit, motherfucker. Is that still a thing? Is it? Is ASMR still a thing on YouTube? I don't know. I mean, it was. I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, let's do some admin. Admin for this week. It's been a week. It's been another week. It's been, what do I say? As she sighs deeply. It's been an interesting week. Okay. Okay. It's not what. Maybe it's. There's been moments of funny but true. There has been all relating to my life, all relating to basic communication, which even though I'm a podcaster, I know. It's confusing. I'm a podcaster, but don't communicate well with others. Communicate with myself, absolutely fine at times, most of the time. With other people, especially people I actually give a fuck about, because I'll be straight up, I don't give a fuck about a lot of people in my life, but people who I actually do give a fuck about very deeply, Struggle town. Struggle town is real. So, yes, there's been some interesting conversations that needed to happen, and I'm thinking dynamic and interesting. It's even beyond that, to be honest. They've been difficult and challenging. Yet, you know, sometimes with the people that you love and you do need to talk about shit, even though it's really hard, you have to do it. By and by. There's that. So there's been a bit of – I'm just going to turn the heat off. Wait, give me one sec. I have like an oil heat in my room. I feel like I'm freaking sweating my balls off all of a sudden. Weird. Probably because I'm talking about communication. No. Yes. Withstanding that has been playing on my mind and talking with my significant Clearly, I can't communicate. Let me just say, see, I can't. Let me just let you know it was hard, okay? Cut the fancy words, Amanda. It was hard. It had to happen. It was hard. I struggled. I lost my shit. I had moments of calmness and moments of complete and utter, I wouldn't say lack of control, but this is it, mate. This is what's happening, full stop, the end kind of shit. So, yeah, it was a conversation that had to happen, needed to happen. It's happened. It was challenging. It was really hard. It was very uncomfortable. It was very upsetting. And today being Sunday here in Australia, that was a conversation that commenced on Wednesday. So perhaps, if you're married and dealing with anything, yeah, that's our communication style. Yay. So, yes, but I'm in a much more calmer, clearly, even though I can't speak, much calmer and reflective and more balanced, shall we say, emotional state today. So very happy I had the conversation, even though I didn't enjoy it actually at all. But it needed to happen and it's happened. So that is probably, are we talking about highs and lows? I don't know if we want to describe it as that, but in the week that was a high and a low. Work is work. I really don't have anything to say. I've got some things that are on my mind, but not applicable to discuss on this podcast. So that is that. And finally, yeah, it's felt like a long week. It's felt like a week, and I did mention this to someone at work where I have felt a quite high level of distraction and one would say even a lack of focus around work in particular, probably because my mind has been preoccupied with my life and more exciting things that I've been doing or wanting to do or contemplating or thinking about and all of the above. So I have struggled a little bit this week with just pure concentration, to be honest. And I think we all go through periods of that as well. If you're someone like myself and identify with some of the podcasts and some of the feelings and emotions that I've talked about in reference to, emotional depth and truly a person who pretty much lives inside their mind, then you would equate that to then being, something that might sound familiar to you where, yes, I did. I struggled this week to just really concentrate. It was one of those things where honestly I could have been anywhere and everywhere except at work. And at the same time, I could have been everywhere and anywhere at home either. Do I know where I wanted to be? No. So I didn't even know that either. It was just a week like that. Okay, it was just a week like that. The week is done. I made it. Yay! I did make it. I survived. I know. I did survive. I made it to the end of the week. One of my favourite smash hits, by the way. I did make it to the end of the week, so, there's that. I'm very happy about that. But, what? Oh. I'm just pressing ones now. Oh, cool. When you might know, but like I have what's that? 36 different types that I can select when I'm playing with my smash pad. So on my Road Procaster too. So yeah, that's the thing. Think of the ocean. Think of your mind. Anyway, I get distracted quite easily, you can tell. It's been a week. It's done and dusted. I'm really happy and excited to be chatting with you today. And I haven't really, right at this second, though I have an idea of what I will call this podcast. I actually want to, there's a couple of things I'd like to talk about, and I think I've touched on these before. Resilience is one. Now, in the opening of this podcast, I did say the question, or was it a question? I don't know. But the statement being, why would you want to go to a sex club? And my response being, why wouldn't you? So I'm going to play some music. I'm going to talk about that in just one component of a recent visit to a sex club. And then I'm going to expand. Sounds like a wanker. I'm going to expand and pivot into this. I need to stop doing that. I will elaborate. Thank you. Is that a wanker word? Into something I actually watched on a podcast on TV, and then I'm going to expand that into a greater conversation that I want to expand to today. So let me play some music. Let me have a bit more of my gin. And as always, quick reminder, this is the Tequila Hour. I do encourage drinking, probably because I sound more knowledgeable and maybe my voice might sound even more sexual. Do I want it to? Maybe. Look, wherever you're listening to this podcast, whatever time of day that may be, if you're not driving and hopefully, you're relaxing, grab yourself a drink. Like I said, I encourage alcohol to just relax and listen to my calming voice, my Australian voice. So grab a drink. Like I said, I'm drinking gin. If you need a snack, you might want one. It might help you to drink more because then you're kind of, equaling. Anyway, look, you do you, boo, but I highly recommend grab a drink, grab a snack. I'm going to play some music. Then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about why I did go to a sex club. Why? Let's go. Does anyone remember when this was the intro of this podcast? Do you? For a very long time, that was the intro. Anyway, why do I go to sex clubs? Oh, a deep dive into the analysis that is a sex club. No. Why? That's a really, really good question. Yay! That's a really good question. The person who asked me was my husband. In the context of the conversation that I referred to in the week that was, he asked me straight out, I'll give you some context. Why did you want to go to a sex club? Why? My answer was, why wouldn't I? And then expanding on that, where it was more around why would you want to go on your own, then why wouldn't you want to go? Why didn't I want to go with him? And this then, this is one slither, a grain of sand in the whole context of the conversation that we had in this last week. But it's a really good question because, for someone who is trying to understand someone's actions, and I've said this, if I say that, I'm going to Japan, then I'm going to Japan. When my mind is set on something, look, in all fairness, yes, I have tunnel vision because I need tunnel vision to make it a reality. If I've decided on something and I want it, I fucking want it. And I'll do it and I'll make it happen. Now, you can see straight away from that context, if you apply that to anything that you might want in life, that there needs to be, if you have people in your life, a level of consideration to other people. Now, I will say to you straight up that if I want something in my life as an individual person, even though I'm married, even though I have friends, whatever, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Now, there is that synapse, if you want to say, the bridge, if you want to call it, where I just don't take other people into consideration. I will be absolutely honest here. I don't. Yeah, there might be thoughts about it. I'm not a complete fucking narcissist. I don't know if that's narcissism, but yeah, if I have a goal or something that I want to do personally, I'm balls deep in and I'll do it. And yeah, I can, through true evidence, say that I have in many occasions done that. The thing is, though, that there is the reminder, especially in this instance that we're talking about today, where, yeah, I wanted to go to a sex club. Why did I want to go? Because I wanted to see what it was like. I have talked about, in various degrees of some of the things that I'm personally going through in regards to my own self-development, especially in terms of my sexual development or exploring what that looks like for me as a woman at my age, just in general, all of the above, where I am at a place where I feel comfortable to have self-exploration in that space, which I haven't had really, not only for a long time, but I've never really explored it. So, yeah, I'm balls deep. I'm having a crack. And that's the thing. I'm not considering other people. I'm considering myself. Now, for me, that's normal and feels logical, not to consider anyone else in personal decisions like I'm going to a sex club because I want to see what it's like. I want to see not only what it's like in the sense of what happens, but how do I react? How do I feel? How do I react if something does happen? What does that look like for me? What's the club like? What are the people like? What's the environment like? Am I safe? Do I feel safe? Am I unsafe? Is this the stupidest idea I've come up with or the most amazing idea These are all the things and so much more that runs through my mind, let alone anything around taking into consideration anyone else's of thoughts, opinions, ideas, or anything else around decisions that I, as I touch myself, my heart, that I make. Now, I will acknowledge that if you're in a partnership with someone, then yes, you should, and this is where I'm struggling, okay? I am struggling with this. For me, I'm in a partnership, but I'm an individual. And if I'm saying I'm going to do this, I don't need your permission. I don't need to ask. I don't really want to discuss it even. I'm doing it. The thing is that you say that and you hear it back and you're like, that's kind of selfish, Amanda. And it is. It is. I am being selfish because that's, for me, a component of actually making not just a thought, but turning that thought into an action and following through. I need entire focus, absolute solitudinal. Is that a word? I've just made up one, maybe. Anyway, I won't even attempt it again, but I need the solitude of complete focus when I'm doing this type of self-discovery. I am not saying I'm completely oblivious to anybody else, as in my husband, around these decisions. I am actually. I'm not that, like I said, I'm not that inept to realise that I am married. What I am saying to you, though, is for me to have a thought, to create an action and to follow through on that action, I'm Han Solo, mate. I don't need Chewbacca. I don't need Chewbacca. I'm doing it. And I'm doing it because I want to do it for myself. I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for my husband. I'm not doing it for my friends. I'm not doing it for any other motherfucker in the entire existence of this earth. I am doing it for me. Now, straight away, I don't know if you interpret this, but this is part of the conversation that I had this week where, again, I say, I make the statement that why would you want to go to a sex club? That led into why would you want to go to a sex club on your own? And it's because I said, because I wanted to. I made a decisive decision, and trust and believe, mate, when I make a personal decisive decision, it's happening. The end. Drop the mic, fucking full stop, okay? I'm that bitch. I am a person of action. It drives me. It helps. It's a guttural just, I don't know how to describe it. There's so many things that you could describe it around this. But if I'm making a decisive action and a decisive decision about something, it's fucking happening. Full stop, the end. No one's going to motherfucking stop me, okay? I will ignore everything because I have made that choice. In the end, the choice is mine. This is my life. Full stop. Now, yes, I will hand on heart say to you that I struggle with this in the sense of, yes, I am an individual, but I'm an individual with a partner. Now, my partner and I have been together 20 years plus. Would I say we still know each other? We're still learning, believably, clearly, based on our discussion that we have been having and etc. We're still learning. We're learning as individuals and we're learning as a couple. I personally, I don't know if you're in the same, if you believe this or you're in the same boat or same mind space as me, but isn't that the point of life? Is to learn, is to explore, to understand, to try, to fail, to try and succeed, whatever failure and succession or succeeding means to you. I am that person where I will try with the outcome being I will succeed. It's not even succeeding. It's more that if I make a decision about something, then I'm going to do it and it's going to happen. If you interpret that as succeeding because you've made a decision and you followed through, then that's success then, isn't it? I don't need, success is nice. Do I like validation and all the beautiful emotions and thoughts that come around that? Yeah, fuck, of course I do. In saying that though, if I do make a decisive decision or be decisive on an action and it happens and I do it and I follow through and it doesn't succeed, I'm emotionally open enough to go, well, fuck, okay, that's interesting. And then for whatever emotions come around that, I'll deal with it as we go through it because that's what happens. I'd like to say I'm, as powerful manifestator, is that a word? Manifestation, we talk about that where, you need to manifest your life. You need to, need to know or want to know what you want and follow through and make it happen, all these kind of things. I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying to you that and I see it and it's probably I don't want to say it's a fault of mine, but it is something where I struggle with people who don't have the same level of, I was going to say integrity, but that's the level of drive around these kind of things, where, time and time again, I will just fucking risk it for the biscuit. I will risk it for the biscuit. That's a.
If you would like to leave a message, press 1.
Let me have a sip of my drink. Mm-hmm. Yeah, risk it for the biscuit. That's a really good. That's a really good saying. Yeah, I'll risk it for the biscuit because fucking why not, mate? Like going to the sex club on my own, for me. And I don't think I've answered the question yet when I say, why did I want to go on my own? And I said this, that I wanted to go on my own because I wanted to experience as a woman on my own. I wanted to know that I could do it. I wanted to know that even though, I'll be straight up. I wasn't afraid. There might have been some trepidation because literally I was going on my own to a place that I'd never been to, that I'd never been to a sex club, and I was going on my own, and didn't really know anyone there, and yeah, a level of maybe a slight trepidation that was replaced by just, for me, sheer curiosity, and the fact that for me, on the current trajectory of my choices around sex and understanding my sexual wants and requirements as a woman, as a human, as a married woman, you know, what does that look like? It negated the curiosity negated any fear that I had. And I wasn't fearful at all. I had no fear. There was absolutely 100% no fear in the choice. I mean, does that come down to my absolute action of following through, and I know what I wanted to do and it was happening? Very likely. But when someone says to me, well, why would you want to do that? Well, why fuck wouldn't you want to do that? If I'm exploring, and then for me, where I probably haven't expanded on some of these things, what I want, and for me, it's a work in motion. I mean, I know as I every day explore these things, more things come into my mind. Yeah, I'd like to do that, or I'd like to try that, or I'd want to feel that, or I want to understand that. There's a whole plethora, thank you, of words and synergies that I could explain the current process that I'm doing in my life around sex and all of those kind of good things. The thing is, though, that, again, taking a step back, and I like I said, I'm how many steps forward, and I am mindful of the step back, where you have a partner who doesn't know that these are all the things that you have going on, that there is a level of, where's this coming from? And I can see that. On reflection. But like I said, if I'm decisive, I'm not looking at in the reflection. I'm making a decision and dropping the mic. And for me, that's part of that process, because if I do, I don't know, maybe there is a level of fear that if I let expansion into a decision-making, it will never happen, let alone someone trying to stop it happening. That's probably part of it. So to me, it was absolutely, I mean, I think I've touched on this, nothing happened the first night I went. And, for whatever reason, that was probably the blessing that I actually needed to do it on my own, to, any trepidation, because like I said, I wasn't fearful at all, being there, going there, leaving there. I mean, I was in a place that I wasn't familiar with, but at the same time, I didn't feel too uncomfortable. Yes, there was a I'll spit it out, a level of nervousness around it all, but I didn't feel completely out of sorts or out of control. I was in control. I was okay. And, when I'd had enough, I left, and it was fine. And yeah, again, self-reflection, would I have wanted more to happen? Who the fuck doesn't want more to happen when you first go to a sex club? I don't know. Everyone, I don't know, if these are things that you think about and you've never gone to a sex club, I'm sure you all have your own imagination to think what may or may not happen. So none of that. For me, the things that I was imagining didn't happen on that first night, and that's probably a good thing, because it gave me, and I think I discussed this, it gave me some space to feel comfortable in the space, to know the space. It wasn't like it was a complete foreign space when I went the second time. And it also gave me a level of empowerment to know, okay, well, I've done it and I can do this again, whatever that looks like, for myself, with another man, with another woman, with my husband. So, yeah, that's why. For me, it was a decision I made, bada bing, bada boom, it happened. So, and I think that leads into, for me, I'm just going to play some more music and then I'm going to grab another drink and then I'm going to talk about what that actually leads into, because for me, I actually saw an interesting, it was like a snippet from Chris Williamson, I think is the name, and I actually opened up the video as well. Chris Williamson, who is a podcaster, has his own podcast called Modern Wisdom. Highly recommend you actually watch it on YouTube. Actually, and I've said this, I really love watching podcasts because I really want to connect not just audio but the visual of it as well. I think for someone like myself, where I'm a podcaster, even though I don't do it myself, and probably that's something perhaps that I need to revisit now that I'm saying it out loud. The complete connection between a podcast, not only audio but visual as well, when you're talking about certain things. To me, I like seeing their reactions. I like seeing the reactions of their guest and whoever that might be. So there's something that he talked about recently, and I'll link it to this podcast as well, because it does lead into that conversation around, actions and following through. And this just really did ring or resonate with me, and I wanted to expand on that today. So let me just play some music. I'm going to grab another drink. You grab a drink and we'll come back together. Give me a sec.
Hold on, let me take my time.
I got lost in my music. Hi. You're here at the Tequila Hour. My name is Amanda. We're at about halfway through. We're at 33 minutes. Obviously, this is the unedited version, so edited, we might be at 30. I grabbed another drink. If you didn't know, I was drinking gin, premix gin smash by 4 Pillars, yuzu, pineapple, and lime flavoured. Whatever you're drinking, I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am enjoying my premix. So let's get back to the discussion. I was talking about actions. I talked about when I make an action, I'm decisive, mate. I'm going to do this. It's fucking happening. It happens. Bada bing, bada boom, drop the mic. The end. I also said that I struggle with people who don't do that. I really do. I struggle with people who have dreams, wants and desires and don't not only articulate them, which I know. Fuck, bitch, I know it's hard. It's hard. It was hard for me. It's still hard for me. So I'm not saying that that's an easy piece of this whole puzzle, this tapestry that is. I will say to you, though, if you can get past that, the next important step is fucking action, okay? The next step is action. So Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom, he actually talked about the paradox of self-awareness. The podcast episode is titled, and it's just like a very short snippet. It's called The Vicious Cost of Self-Awareness. Now, I've talked about this before, about self-awareness, and I've talked about it in terms of intelligence, but he actually talked about it in terms of and related it to Hamlet, to Shakespeare, Hamlet. And this line really resonated with me. So in Hamlet, the line, "Thus conscience does make cowards of us all." I'm going to repeat that. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all. Just think about that for a second. And for me, straight away, look, am I down with Shakespeare? That's another discussion I could talk about. But have I read a lot of Shakespeare? No. I mean, to me, most people probably would have, their touch point would be school and then probably some really bad movies, but about Shakespeare, including Hamlet. But obviously, for Shakespeare to create that narrative so eloquently, that for me, it comes down to what I've said so many times: we are our own worst enemy. And it's funny that I saw this and I was thinking, how long ago, the play, is it technically a play that Shakespeare wrote that? And we're at 2026 and we are still our own worst enemies. Our intelligence and our conscience still basically fucks us up time and time again, where for me it leads into that decisiveness around making a decision, having an action, and actually following through with an action. Because like I said, so many people talk about things that they want to do. And like I said, I'm not saying at all it isn't difficult. That's not what I'm trying to get at today. I'm not saying at all that the choices we make and decisions we make, if they're the really hard decisions, and like for me, and I will say to you, some of the decisions I've made in the last year, 2 years, they haven't been easy. I'm not, I'm really not. Oh no, maybe I am. Maybe I am unique. I don't think I'm as bold and as adventurous as perhaps some people think I am, in the sense that, that question of being asked, why would I want to go to a sex club, or even discussing it. I'm thinking about two women in particular that I've discussed going to a sex club, where there is that level of, how do I say it? Voyeurism, I suppose, is the word that comes to mind. Yet I'm going because I want to fuck people a lot. This is the thing. So there's many reasons, but that's kind of the outcome. But this is the thing where, I'm not having conversations with people day to day about the fact that I like going to sex clubs, or that I've been and I will continue to, let alone being, in a marriage that I would now consider be an open marriage. And I'm thinking about the conversation that I had with my husband yesterday, where, there has been and there was a lot of discussion around that point that I talked about, where if I want to do something, I'll motherfucking do it. I don't need your permission. I don't need to ask. But he did also make the point of, yes, you are an individual, but you're also in a partnership, and perhaps you, in that light, consider the fact that, yes, it's you and you making this choice, but that choice can affect other people. And perhaps, I'm not saying not to make the choice, but I'm saying to you that there needs to be a level of consideration for others, not just yourself. And I didn't like that, I'll be honest with you. I didn't like hearing it. I don't even like saying it out loud, to be honest. Yet, again, I will say to you that there does need, clearly, through that whole conversation and hearing that from someone who does care about me to the ends of this earth, that yes, I do need to take consideration, or just be more aware of not just myself but him. And I am struggling with that, and I told him that I am, and gave some of my personal reasons why I am struggling with that. But it really did highlight, that thought process for me where if I'm making a choice, I'm fucking doing it. And I am someone who I'm thinking of someone else who said something to me a few years ago. I am like a dog with a bone. If I've made a choice and something's going to happen, it'll fucking happen, mate. It might even happen to my self-detriment. and I've talked about examples of that in the past. And I'm willing to do that because fucking that's, I suppose, a moral thing maybe, where there is that tenaciousness where if I say I'm going to fucking do something, I'm fucking doing it, mate. I'm not just half-assing it here. If you need me to do A, I'm fucking doing A, mate. That's like I said, drop the mic. It's happening. So, yes, it has to be some shade around this, not just black and white. There needs to be some grey in these kind of choices, especially when the choice does ultimately affect someone else. So, because he's my husband. So, yes, it was a conversation, like I said, it needed to happen. But I really want to touch on that point around us being our own worst enemy, and our conscience being our thoughts being they just fuck us up all the time. I really don't. When I heard that line from Shakespeare from Chris Williamson on the podcast, and I really thought about it, and I've thought about this before. I'm just turning my heater off again. I don't know why I turned it on. I'm going to have a sip of my drink. Let me see. That's a good drop. I really did and do still wonder why we do this to ourselves. I mean, through the evolution of time, as I sit here today, as my lineages before me have passed, why am I still at this fucking place where I'm, where people don't have the ability to follow through, do allow fear to run their lives. They can't make a decision. I mean, it's hard. I mean, and I think he made the comment around, well, of course the harder things are hard, so you're afraid and you don't want to do them. But what's the worst can happen? Like, if you fail, you fail. Is that bad? In the scheme of shit that you probably have to deal with in your life, making a decision around something that you really want or even exploring that shouldn't be that motherfucking hard. But time and time again, this is a conversation that comes up in self-learning and self-development. It's a conversation that I've had, that quick snippet of a podcast again highlights it, where clearly for centuries we've been having these same thoughts around letting fear control us, in sense, letting our brain take hold and not allowing it to expand to fail, or to even not. It's not even. I don't. Again, even saying fail and succeed to me is, they're words that, is the outcome that could be used, but to even just experience something with not necessarily having to have a win or a loss or a failure or to succeed, taking that even out of the equation might be some semblance of assistance around these kind of thoughts around a decision. Because let's use my decision, that recent decision about going to a sex club as an example. As a woman of 53, never been to the location where it was, didn't know where it was. Obviously, I looked at it on Google Maps, never been there. That alone, for a lot of women, going on your own, you might be like, you are crazy. What the fuck? Magical, I know. No, I had to do a smash pad. that alone might be like you're in Sydney, you're going to some random sex club. Now, I'm not, and this is what I did say this as part of the conversation yesterday, that I can't control everything. I mean, I can't. I'd like to think sometimes, I was that powerful. Perhaps. We probably perhaps all do think we're that godlike or whatever, that powerful that we control everything, okay? No. No. So the thing is, using the sex club as an example, you have to do your research, okay? I don't make decisions. I have, but I'm not going to lie. But in this instance and in other instances, I didn't make that decision based on, I want to go to a sex club and I'm just going and just turning up. No. I looked at where it was. I looked at the location. I became a member of their site. I started chatting to people to get a feel of the place. Did I do a thorough deep dive into the place I went to? No. I mean, I did enough to go, yes, I think this is a good idea, and yes, I know what I want to do. Again, though, it comes into the worst enemy. Our mind's our own enemy, like in the sense of, how much do you deep dive making a decision to go into a sex club? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how far? Like, for me, I knew where the location was in the sense of where I was in Sydney, how long it took me to get there, if I need to make a quick getaway, how hard would that be? Was it somewhere where it was completely unrecognisable to me through the chats that I was having in the online chat room, which is a membership? Was I having a sense that, these people were all crazy or something, these kind of things? I had none of that. I could say to you, though, I would absolutely say to you that there's probably a whole lot of people, men or women, who would just never do what I did because they're scared or afraid, and sheer fear alone would stop them from experiencing something that could be potentially one of the most, well, kind of was, but one, not at that time, that could be one of the most expansive at hand. If this is the thing you want to get into, well, fucking do it, mate. Like, what's stopping you? And I understand fear, and I understand being afraid, and I understand not knowing everything and not being able to control everything. Absolutely 100 understand that. But what I'm saying to you is, with a bit of research, and I'll go back to what I was going to say, is I said, I'm not a fuckwit. This is pretty much how I said it. I'm not a fuckwit. I don't make these decisions lightly, and I'm not an idiot. I do my research. I felt comfortable. I made a choice. I followed through. Let's expand that. Can I control everything that could have potentially happened? No. Could, if I was to flip it and look at the worst case scenario, could something bad have happened? Yes, it could have. I can only negate certain things. I can only see certain things and trust that for the powers that be, that I will be looked after, and I make a decision and I follow through. The thing is, and I'll go back to that space that so many people sit in, and it does drive me mad actually a little bit, of people who talk about things that they want to do. And I've been there. I've talked about things that I want to do and I've never done them. And I've also now, through the last, if you want to say 5, but in particular the last year, 2 years, I've fucking gone for it, mate. And I talk about a level of, I suppose, I don't want to say wisdom, I suppose it could be, but a level of comfortableness in myself, of me as a woman, as a human being, through exploration, through understanding, to make some of these large, off the wall, perhaps, choices in my life without any assistance, because for me it was the logical next step or steps that I needed to take along the journey of my own self-discovery. Even people, I mean, the example comes to mind of people who, you know, I usually drink the same type of coffee, I don't know, or food or whatever, or you go to a certain place. You know, I'll purposely just buy the same thing over and over again because I like it and we all do it. Do you know what I mean? But I'm also one of those bitches that we go somewhere and, you know, let's say order a drink and I'll just say surprise me. Why wouldn't you want to just see? Do you want to drink the same thing over and over again for the rest of your life? Like, I mean, I love margaritas. Do I want to just drink margaritas for the rest of my life? Or would I like to try the plethora of cocktails that the world has to offer? Because you never know, I might find one that surpasses a margarita. If I didn't try it, how the fuck would I ever know? Now, that's probably a frivolous example, but when I say it out loud. But this is true because so many people get stuck in the loop that is their life, and they talk about things that they want to do and they don't do them. Or even people who say, you know, and work, we've all been there at work, and an example where someone says they're going to do something and they don't. It drives me insane. It does. It drives me insane. There's a level in some aspects, especially around that of disrespect for me. I'm like, if you can't do it, then just get some help or just tell me. Like, do you know what I mean? It's okay. Like, it's okay to say you can't. And that's a lesson I've had to learn personally as well, where there has been things that I just can't. I can't follow through on, or I can't accomplish or finish because a myriad of reasons. And I've had to put up my hand, which I don't really like doing sometimes, and go and help throughout the process. And I mean, that's part of it as well, where let's say the example of me going to the sex club, and I get to the sex club and, like I said, that first time I went, nothing happened, and I came out and I had to catch a taxi. Now, we're at, you know, I'm on Parramatta Road. I won't say where, on Parramatta Road. And if you're in Australia, you know Sydney, you'd know Parramatta Road. And I was staying in the city, okay? So I was probably like, and you might be able to work it out, the circumference is quite large, but, you know, I was around 15, maybe max 10 minutes away from where I was staying in the city, in the CBD, right? Now, I left the club, it was like 10:30, it's night, it's dark. We're on a main, Parramatta Road is quite a busy road in the city, getting into the city and then out both ways. What would that be, northwest, north-south? I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to think of where the ocean is in that. Anyway, yeah, it's a busy road, it's dark, there's no one around. I come out of basically an inconspicuous door that most people would probably walk past and have no idea. And I'm alone. And, yeah, you know, for a split second, yeah, there's that thought of, fuck, I don't have a cab, I don't have my vehicle. Like, I'd love nothing better just to hop in my fucking car and drive away. But as part of that, you know, decision and exploring pros and cons was, yes, I knew how far I was from where I was staying. I'm in Sydney. I have Uber. I have the app. Taxis, being a main road, would very likely come at a regular basis. Any kind of apprehension about, oh, fuck, now I've just walked out the door and the door is locked and I need to catch a cab and I haven't ordered one, quickly negated by the fact that calm the farm, you're cool and you'll flag one down. And I did, and I was fine, and I went back to my hotel. Did that stop me from having the whole experience again? No. I mean, I can see that in the terms of you're a woman on their own on a quite busy road where there is the potential of meeting random people, many random people really, where you could be placed in a situation that you aren't comfortable with. I will put my hand up and say that could happen or could have happened, but it didn't. So, I mean, where's the line where your conscience goes or your thought goes, oh, because this could potentially happen, I'm never going to do it. For me, I'm like, well, I'm not going to let that stop me from doing it. I mean, I'm not so oblivious to think that something could happen or could have happened, but I'm also not going to say to you, I'm never going to do this because that could potentially happen. There's certain decisions that I've made in my life that, yes, if I was to expand completely out and think of all the worst case scenarios that would ever happen in some of the decisions that I've made, especially around sex and men and meeting people, yes, absolutely, it could, and I've talked about this, it could be really bad. But I will say to you that, again, if you don't try, how would you fucking know? And this is the thing when I go back to that line from Hamlet and Shakespeare, and again, it's our own thoughts that stop us from living our lives so often. That fucking Shakespeare was writing about this shit so long ago. Why are we still at the same place? Why are we still, and this leads into self-development and self-awareness and, so many podcasts that still are churning shit out around this because we still haven't got it. We still haven't got it. And I don't know if it's because we haven't got it as a human being or it's just our brains are so advanced that we just can't get past that. Like there's little, I don't even know if they want to call them synapses, but there's like speed humps in our brain that and I'm sure there is, I'm thinking about it as I speak, that purposely stop us from doing things because it's a checkpoint to make sure that, you have some self-control and you're not just, making decisions that could basically put you in harm's way. I understand that, but the problem is that we live now in a society where there is no, I don't know, but it doesn't feel like there is that encouragement to fucking just fuck it, mate. Fucking do it, mate. Just go for it and you'll be okay. And the thing is, if you're not okay, you'll still be okay. And I think maybe that's the piece where we just are missing, where I know there's so many things that we have to make decisions on in our life on a day-to-day basis, especially for those who work, especially those who work in very complex, high decisioning environments. Oh, God, just thinking about just for a split second go there. Yes, there has to be that speed hump in the brain to kind of give you a safety net, I suppose, because otherwise we'd all be crazy and doing crazy shit. There has to be a level of self-control. In saying that, though, we're so, as human beings, disabled by this speed hump. Do you know what I mean? It's not even a speed hump anymore. It's a fucking mountain that so many people never climb because they're fucking afraid. They can't see over the mountain or have perspective of what the other side might look like, let alone the perspective of going, yeah, I climbed the mountain and fuck, there's nothing here. Shit, it's a desert and I wish I'd never done it. But you know what? Now you know what's on the other side. You know what's on the other side. Yeah, it's shit. It's a fucking desert. It wasn't the oasis that you imagined, but you know what? You fucking climbed a fucking mountain and you did that, dropped the fucking mic. And this is the thing. This is where I'm seeing this conversation again and again and again, especially in podcasts that talk about self-discovery and self-development and exploring oneself and, all those pieces of the puzzle that make up the human psyche, I suppose, that make up life and make up intelligence and make up conscience, that it's such a barrier for so many people. And I don't understand in its complexity in its entirety, why we haven't, I'm not even saying remove the speed hump. I'm saying be aware of the speed hump, but fucking go over it anyway. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know why we're still at the place where, oh, fuck, I see a speed hump, but no, I can't because it looks like, it looks like it's going to blow my tyres out. I really don't. I'm struggling as I have a sip of my drink. So for me, it is something I do struggle to understand in others. I suppose for me where, again, I'll give this a scenario of the sex club where if I hadn't gone, how would I know? How would I know? Should I have gone with my husband? I didn't want to. And that was part of that conversation. I do want to, but in that instance, I wanted to go on my own because I wanted to know that I could do it on my own. I wanted to know as a woman that I could do it on my own. It was important for me to understand what that felt like in my presence as a woman on my own. Now, as a man, you mightn't understand that. I would say to you, you probably don't understand that at all. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. But I don't think, for a man, I don't like surmising really, but I would probably say to you it would feel a lot easier for a man to go to a sex club than it would be for a single woman to go on her own to a sex club. Prove me wrong. I mean, there's obviously certain types of women like myself that would, but I don't know. I would say to you, all in all, the majority of people who are going to these type of things are men or married couples or couples, not single women. So just ruminate on that for a second and ruminate on in your own life, what is it that is stopping you from taking that step, going over the speed hump, going over that mountain and just going, fuck it, and just doing it. For me, I don't think I'm that adventurous or bold or, the fact that in my mind, there is a level of comfortableness of going, well, I've crossed the mountain and it's not an oasis, it's a desert. Going, well, that's fucking shit. That's fucking shit. And then moving on. That is, to me, emotional intelligence. That's a part of emotional intelligence. That is something that I've had to learn. I am learning still to this day, to this very moment in time. I'm still learning that, and I want to learn that because to me, it only creates and builds a more diverse human being who I am as a person who can then connect with other people like this in this podcast, and I can talk about it and I can understand it by talking about it, and perhaps you might have an understanding then by talking about it to yourself or to your partner or to someone else, or just hearing it may, create a light spark, just a little flash in your mind to go, yeah, I'm going to, instead of having strawberry ice cream, I'm going to try banana. Do you know what I mean? These are the things where there is a level of importance, and clearly even still after Shakespeare wrote that line, that even today in this century where we're still having these discussions, and as human beings we're still fucking ourselves. We're literally mind fucking ourselves. And I don't know, as human beings, what is it? I mean, I've touched on a couple of things, but you'd think that at a certain time, through just sheer evolution alone, we would understand this and we would have got past this. And I don't know really why we haven't. And if you could tell me, that'd be great. Oh, you know what? If you could tell me, that would be great. Because can you just imagine, just for a split second, the level of energy that is put into and exuded out from those brain processes by not completing an action that could have been funneled not only into completing the action, but to complete more. And we talk about resonance and we talk about conscience, but if we actually funneled that and got past the bullshit, can you imagine how much more we could actually do? So I think that actually, I just stopped recording. I think that actually wraps it up for this podcast today. So if you have any, I was going to say inclination, that's not really the word I want to use. If you have any feedback, thoughts or feelings, you can contact me, Segway, anytime via my email address, which is info@thetequilahour.com.au. Just for purposes of finding out where I am, I use Instagram to promote this podcast. So the Tequila Hour, and I also have my personal page, which is linked, which is the_1_Amanda. YouTube, blah, blah. You know what I know. I do need to do something about that. I don't know. You know, you think by now we're at June that I would have sorted it out. I've got more things, more exciting things to do. But anyway, signing out. We're at 3:16 p.m. here on the 28th of June. Hope you have a good weekend wherever you are. Whenever you listen to this podcast, I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe. So Spotify and Apple would love you too. Any feedback is appreciated. And yeah, I hope you have a good one. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya. Bye.